Dean.
Thanks, guys.
Here we go.
Bye.
Let's hit the next one. Landmarks. Jason, you're up.
Hi. So I think we should take I'm just looking at this. The stock exchange. Do we want to? I'm going to just recap everybody on that, and then maybe we'll take that alone. So we saw the State Street Advisors, an applicant for the extension of the landmarks permit for the Fearless Girl statue in front of the New York Stock Exchange on Broad Street on the cobblestones there. That whole street bed area is like a landmark district, and it is the street bed, in fact, that's part of the contributing, what contributes to the district, not necessarily the beautiful buildings on the that surround it, which many are individual landmarks. So the recommendation that I had written as a resolution was to resolve that due to the uncertainty surrounding the way the statue was originally approved by landmarks and whose jurisdiction it is to approve such a thing, I wrote a resolution that asks the Landmarks Commission to reject any extensions until everybody is sure that the process is properly followed, by which someone puts a public work of art on the streets of New York. And it was unclear to us if that process was filed. My experience is that those type of things have to go to the Public Design Commission. This only went to the Landmarks Commission maybe 3 years ago, after being moved from its original spot, which was not, illegally, it was not legally placed there. So that was our recommendation, which is to reject until, and then see this item at Landmarks if that's part of the process after the other part of the process has been followed. So that's that one. If we want to move on to the next one, was read.
Questions? I saw hands go up.
Oh, questions. Okay, sure.
I apologize. Because we'll go in order for where I saw the hands. Mariana, again, I'm going to assume that your hand is by accident. And so I'm going to go Jeff, and then Jeff Galloway, Jess Coleman, and Eric Flores in that order. Jeff, you're first.
Sure. My comment is that the resolution reads as if we do not like the Fearless Girl statue. And just speaking for myself and my family, I actually like that statue, and I think it's in fact, as sort of implied by the resolution, very well received by visitors and perhaps by residents as well. But as one resident, I certainly like it. And so the resolution as it stands sounds like we're basically saying we don't like this thing. How in the world did this ever get here? Because it didn't go through the right process. So let's get rid of it until it goes through the right process, which is kind of a negative implication, which I wouldn't support, simply because I actually like the statue and I think it's positive. If the complaint is not so much that we don't like the statute, but we don't like the process, we could tweak the language a little bit, but it's not. I'm not one that likes to avoid going through processes that are designed to deal with situations on the street, such as a public design review process. But on the other hand, sometimes some of the most effective art in an urban area is kind of guerrilla art. And this resolution kind of comes off as fuddy-duddy, that some guerrilla art resulted in here. Let's get rid of it until it goes through the Blue Bud process. So I don't think I would support the resolution as stated. And I guess my question is it the sense of the Landmarks Commission that the statute should go? And is it the sense of the Landmarks Commission that we should be discouraging guerrilla art?
Yeah, I don't think we really are going to take any position on guerrilla art, and we're not here to take any position on actually the art itself. Um, you know, there's a process, and statues don't just appear in the roadbeds of like ancient, as far as our civilization's concerned, areas. Wall Street is, you know, if everybody just took a statue and cemented it into the ground on Wall and Broad Street, I just don't think that that is fair. And I actually I hope the intention of the resolution is not to pass judgment on how good the statue is. And I think that that whereas where we talk about how it is a well visited site, you know, if we could add something about how it's well visited by residents as well, and then you know, we could delete anything that seems like it is passing a judgment on the design of the statue. The point of it really is that people have to follow the process so that we don't have people cementing statues into the ground where they think it's fit and how they think it looks good. And, you know, frankly, the statue won't be removed from its footings. And I'm not asking, I don't think anyone's really asking for that. That's kind of like an illogical way to proceed on this. However, I just don't see how we can support any application that doesn't follow the course of action that all statues or anything that's designed to be put into the public space should follow.
Well, I've
So I'm open to
suggested language
changes,
that-
but let's hear how some other people from the committee may have interpreted it. Or, you know, I'm not here to put my flag in the ground on this.
We've got
I have
just
some suggested language that would alleviate that concern if our problem is process.
if you're making a friendly amendment, make the friendly amendment. If not, you can wait. I will come back to you. We have 3 other people with their hands up, so
I'll wait if you'll come back to me.
I will come back to you. Come
Cool.
back second call. So
Sure,
Jeff
sure.
Coleman, Eric Flores, Bruce, Susan, Mark, Mitch, and then back to Jeff. And let's try and be mindful, people. We want to get through. We have a long night.
Hi, thanks, Tammy. Yeah, I mean, Jeff hit it completely on the nail on the head. It said exactly what I was going to say. So I guess I just want to push you a little more and ask: is there anything particularly about this process and this statute that is objectionable, or is this just a general process complaint? Because, like Jeff, I'm not convinced that this indicates the breakdown of the process such that we're basically giving a green light to anyone who wants to cement something in the ground. So I'm just wondering if there's anything particularly about this statute that is objectionable.
So
Jason,
Jess,
I'm
I
sorry.
think, hold on, Vicky. I'll get to you.
I can respond since I
Sure.
sit on that committee and bring some clarity, okay?
That would be great.
Thank you.
Now or later?
Go now, Vicky, because that would, if it's the same question. then we-
No, it's a response.
No.
So-
Yes, Vicky's going to answer, but what I'm saying is if anybody else after this asks the same question, this is not about the design, and Vicky will explain the process in there. And I have to remind people, when we talked about open restaurants, we talked about additions of public art and public space. So I kind of get where they're going, but Vicky, go.
Right. I just wanted to bring up the issue that during our committee meeting, a very helpful public member gave us a brief history. This is not exactly a public sculpture. This wasn't actually started as a public sculpture. This came as a corporate gesture, a corporate office on Wall Street that is now moving out. They got sued for I can't remember, not sexual harassment, excuse me, not equal pay. So this isn't actually designed as a public statue. It is not, it didn't start off as a comment towards a public issue. It is a particular company that went ahead and did this and then installed it And one might think it's a guerrilla act, but you know what? Public statues have to have a process. So this statue is now cemented into the ground. It starts to get dressed. There are all kinds of issues that come up. Public statues generally tend to have a plinth or something that raises it above the, common plane of the street. It might have some kind of an enclosure. This was not designed like that, and therefore the expression that you see now is a product of a corporation that got in trouble and then generated this thing for what we were actually told was mostly a public gesture, a private gesture, trying to wash themselves off. They're now leaving Wall Street area themselves. We also heard that the artist is now in a lawsuit. This is a very complicated thing. While we think that this was designed in this spirit, it is not, and therefore we decided that it's best to go back, reverse the process, and go through a public hearing, and then if it's decided in the right way, then we would welcome this gesture. And that's how, Jason wrote this, that's the spirit of the resolution, because there's a long history to this. It's not as simple as just putting a statue. And then there was a discussion, the statue, the intention. There's some of us that think that a small child, confronting a world may not actually be what a lot of professional women want. So that's why a commission needs to review this if it is going to be a public statue, and first and foremost for New Yorkers and not for tourists. And that was the spirit of our discussion.
Thank you, Vicky, very much. If Vicky has answered your initial question, please put your hand down. Bruce, Susan, Mark, Mitch, and Colin.
Wait, wasn't I up?
Yep.
In my ridiculous IT problems, can you hear me?
I
Even
can,
say-
Bruce.
Wasn't I
I'm
next?
sorry? Someone else talking?
Tammy, wasn't I next?
I apologize, Eric. I missed you. Yes,
Okay.
Eric was before Bruce. Bruce, you'll have to hang on. Thank you, Eric.
No problem. I'm sorry. I'll try to be quick. I agree with Jeff that reading this reads that we don't like this statute, and listening to Jason, it sounds like we don't want. It's a completely different standard. We don't want to put these statues or whatever in here, but that's not how this reads. So you're talking about process. Isn't part of the process that you apply for extensions in order to keep it there?
It depends.
Well, actually, no. So we're kind of backed into that scenario, which is what rubs personally me the wrong way. We believe that, and through some research that I did and Mr. Todd Fine did, not research that we asked the applicant to do, and they could have done that and they didn't, that the whole process starts with the Public Design Commission. And so that never happened for this statue in any of its positions. What happened was some, counsel for landmarks and counsel for this guy and that guy, doesn't look like they looked at the charter. They determined that, well, we just need to get a permit from landmarks, and such permit, I believe, didn't even require a public hearing. They came to us, I believe, to just tell us about it, not so much to by requirement, because it required a public hearing at the Landmarks Commission level. And so where we find ourselves is standing with a permit that didn't come out of the process that it should have, and being asked to renew such a permit. And so for me, that just seems like the wrong way to process such a thing. Even if everybody loved it, even if it spewed out dollar bills into everybody's face, it should just follow the procedure. Just like some guy has to come in and follow a procedure to put a handicap lift onto your, building. I'm trying to give it like completely different, scenario, but you follow the rules, and we ask our developers to do that, and have their architects come by and spend a lot of money on presentation materials. That I think that this should be held to the same standard, even though the standard for the application is different than those things that I just listed. And I'll just reiterate, I don't want, I'm not looking for a resolution that says we hate this statue. So if that's what's coming out of it, I'd prefer it to read more like we hate that the process wasn't followed. And we'll let
I'm saying
it here, but we're not going to let you extend a unvalidated permit.
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. I think it'd be better off to use it as an example of saying we don't like this process. Here's what the process is. Here's what an alternate process was. This is an example of it, because this does come out like this statute is hated by the group.
Okay, so the problem is we have to have our ears and eyes to the process that it's now a part of.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
right.
a process where they're going to now take it to the Landmarks Commission. And if we write something in the inverse, like we wish that they would extend the permit, they're just not going to listen to us, and they're going to just extend the permit. And really they shouldn't, because it should go through the process before anything is extended, so that other people can weigh in. It's not for me to decide, but when you go to a public review process, it's the opportunity for other people in the community to say, I love it, I hate it, not show up, whatever.
Jason, I'm going to pause here to mention you're at 9 minutes on one resolution. I'm sorry to be,
Fine.
for Jason and Vicky, I'm sorry to be kind of the taskmaster
I know
here.
we can move on. I mean, if they don't like it, they don't have to vote. I mean, it's
Okay.
simple.
So we have, if someone has already said something, please don't repeat it. I'm going Bruce, Susan, and everybody's gonna get 1 minute, and I apologize, but let's be really concise and clear. Bruce, Susan, Mark, Mitch, oh my God, and I've got way more hands. No, yeah. Seriously, it's your point has been made. Please lower your hands. Bruce.
Okay, so I agree with Jeff in principle. It's great to have sculpture, and much of the things like Basquiat was, half of it was guerrilla.
Is there anything new that you have
However, yes. However, this is the only landmark designated street grid that exists in all of New York City. It's the only street pattern that is itself landmarked. That's almost a special consideration. And I agree with the committee that that should be untampered with. However, one could easily add, and I would make a friendly resolution, simply that the community board is not opining on the merits of the sculpture per se.
Okay, that is a friendly amendment.
Like that.
Jason, you accept that?
Yes, it doesn't have to be, however anyone wants to write it, Jeff. I accept. We should just say it has nothing to do with the design of it.
Okay, accepted and moved on.
Right.
Thank you, Bruce. Susan.
I agree, and I would propose that we do it and move on from this. It has nothing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are you making a motion to call the question? Is that what you're doing? Susan?
Yes.
I second it.
Alice a second, which means we
Still have hands.
I thought you said you were coming back to me.
But I can rule on that motion, which I intend to right now, coming back to Jeff, which I promised him, and then we are taking a vote.
You said if something has something new to say or new to ask, that's why a few of us waited respectfully without interrupting.
Well, you can't interrupt.
Well, I know that, but I'm just being polite.
Well, let's just rush through it, okay? Let's just do it. I mean, let's just do it. What does anyone have to say? Go next.
Was the bull done with the proper process, or wasn't that done also?
Originally, it was not.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy, and if you want to talk about the process, then I would suggest take the name of the Fearless Girl statue off of this resolution or vote, and then just do it about the process. Otherwise,
because it's an application in specifics to this.
Okay, then I just wanted to point out the hypocrisy of because the.
No, Mitch, it set a bad precedent, and we're trying to stop it now.
Okay,
Respect wasn't born basically when that bull statue was there. So
Okay.
it's not hypocrisy. It's Jason is the chair of the Landmarks Commission.
And he's a hypocrite for doing that.
Oh boy.
And if you guys don't like it,
Okay,
don't vote yes.
Stop.
Okay.
Everybody, stop. That's it. Stop. We're not talking about, this is an application very specifically for this. We have a friendly amendment that's been added. If you have something new, I will call on you. If it is not, you will be muted. And that's it. I'm not getting into there's no name calling here.
Thank you.
Sarah,
I read the resolution and I didn't get this complexity to it. Would you put the wording up, please?
yes.
Thank you.
Diana, put the wording up. Again, we are not talking about anything other than this application. Diana, you have one Hanover Square showing. Sarah, once that gets up, do you have another comment, or you just need to see it?
I just need to see it again.
That's fine, thank you. Diana,
Thank you.
you still showing one Hanover Square, please? There we go. Moving down. Okay, Gerald, your hand was up, Betty, and then back to Jeff and call the vote. That's it.
Yeah, Tammy, my hand is up, was up, and I just I don't want to steal your thunder on this, but to remind everybody of something that you've said often, that work is done in the committees. We sat through testimony on this. I personally was very surprised to hear the testimony that was received, but this resolution did come out of some very interesting testimony, and I would just like to encourage everybody to go back and listen to the community meeting. It's all online. Please do that. You'll hear the same testimony we heard, and maybe your conclusions might be a little different. Thank you.
And I thank Gerald for saying that. And if you see something that's coming up in the packet and you have this kind of passion for it, please listen to the recording before you come to the full board meeting. Betty.
Yes, I just wanted to bring up the bottom line to me really is, this is a statute that I like. I see no reason for it to be removed. To go through technicalities that haven't been held to everybody else, to get rid of it so that we could potentially lose it, to me would be a big loss. And that's really the bottom line.
You are certainly, everyone seems to have their own perspective, and vote as you will. Jeff, back to you, and then we are calling the question.
Okay, I will read my suggested friendly amendment language. But as I've heard the discussion, clearly the committee would not agree with this. But let me just read it because I promised to read it. And this would replace the next to the last whereas, the one that says the existing statute and placement was not subject to the Public Design Commission approval process. The suggested language was going to be, although CB1 considers the statute to be a positive addition in the FIDI area, CB1 is concerned that the statute was placed without going through the Public Design Commission approval process that is required for the placement of public art in public space. But it appears that the committee actually does not like the statute, and so would not accept that.
Stop. Don't put the personal opinion. That is your friendly amendment, that text. Let's have the chair and the co-chair answer that.
I don't have a problem with that, Jeff. But I just feel like nothing's going to change my mind about. Let's add that, yes. But I would feel like it didn't speak on the conclusions that were made in committee to change the therefore be it resolved to a recommendation for extension. Okay, so that's where we could add whatever we want, but I don't think recommending it for extension at landmarks is the right, it rightfully captures what we discussed.
My friendly amendment was only as to the whereas, not to
Sure,
the result.
accept that.
Okay, so now with the friendly amendment accepted, thank you, Jason. Thank you, Vicky. I highly encourage everybody. They run a fantastically detailed meeting. Can you please go to their meeting next time instead of negotiating this through here technically? All right. We're going to call the question and move on. So we are not doing roll call on this. We've already done roll call.
Second.
Thank you. So we will say we're going to go all in favor. If you are abstaining, please you say your last name and your vote. So I'm calling for all abstentions.
Brown Kennedy abstains.
Zelter abstains.
Charkoudian abstains.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Snack abstains.
Abstains.
Also, Eric Yu abstains.
Thank you, Eric.
Amoruso votes present.
Are you calling for no's, Tommy?
Sorry, I kind of missed a couple of those. One second.
There are 5 abstentions. It was Bob Schneck, it was Darren Charkoudian, Megan Brown Kennedy, Andrew Zelter, and I believe Eric Yu.
All right, one sec.
Tammy, point of order. I don't know if we have a function for voting present, do we?
It's an abstention.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you.
So that makes Amoruso an abstention as well.
I'm voting present, not abstention.
I don't think that's an option.
We have no, yes, abstain, or recuse. Those are the 4 options.
What does Robert's rule say?
You're allowed to, yes, you can vote present. You're allowed to vote present.
Let's come back. Mark, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to go look through our bylaws. Okay.
All right.
Okay, do you mind if I mention, like, can I go through what I got so far? I'm sorry, I'm new at this. And
We haven't called no's yet, so you got to call no's and recusals. All right.
Sure. Yeah, but I'm having trouble just catching up right now. So for abstentions, I have in alphabetical order, Amoruso, Brown Kennedy, Charkoudian, Schneck, and Zeltzer. Is that correct? Did I miss anybody?
No,
You.
I am not abstaining. I'm voting present.
What does that mean, Mark? What do you want to say? It's getting late and we don't know, so help us out.
Stop. It doesn't make a difference. Our bylaws specifically say that together with the number of members voting, yes, no, abstaining, and recusing, those are the only 4 options we have. Mark, if you choose to vote any of those, that's great. If you choose not to vote, that will be your choice in the meeting, okay? Moving on. This is really just getting out of hand. I don't know how much coffee everybody's had, but let's just keep on the line. Mimi, you good with the amount of abstentions that you have so far?
Mimi, you forgot my name. You abstains.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
A abstains.
Kettering abstains.
Okay. Are there any more abstentions? Are there any recusals? Are there any no's?
Roman, no.
Roman votes no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other no's?
Mahoney.
Townley
votes no.
Stop. Stop. Townley votes no. Thank you. Mahoney votes no. Thank you. There was
Flores, no.
Flores, no. Thank you.
Coleman, no.
Coleman, no. Thank you.
Chang votes no.
Chang votes no. Thank you. Okay, Mimi.
Got it.
That's the vote. All others that are present are voted as a yes.
Okay.
Jason, next.